On July 21st, 2005, 3 men signed a document. By the time anyone read the full terms, every toy in every store in every country was already gone. That document was a legal agreement filed with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. It had a line on page 2 that would transfer $75 million on the day it was signed from Toys R Us to its new owners, just for signing. 33,000 people went to work the next morning not knowing that document existed. 12 years later, every single one of them would lose their job, and not one of them would receive a cent of severance. This is not the story of a toy company that failed to compete with Amazon. That's the version they wanted you to believe. This is the story of what was actually in that document. Think about what Toys R Us actually was. Not the brand, the feeling, the automatic doors opening onto an aisle of bright yellow and blue. A destination, a thing your parents drove 40 minutes to reach. In 2005, Toys R Us had 1,500 stores across 38 countries, 20% of the entire U.S. toy market. The company was not dying. It was weakened, but its core business was generating hundreds of millions in operating income. If nothing changed, it would have muddled through. You have worked somewhere for 29 years. You started on the floor. You worked your way up to supervisor. You are 58 years old. And one morning, the store closes. Not because the store wasn't making money, but because of a decision made by people you never met, in a room you were never invited into, about a document you were never shown. Anne-Marie Reinhardt was not alone. There were 33,000 of her. The executives collected $8.2 million in retention bonuses for staying long enough to close the stores. How did a company with $1 billion in annual operating income end up unable to pay its workers 1 week of severance? The answer is not Amazon. The answer is that document. Let's read it. A leveraged buyout. The buyer puts up a fraction of the purchase price, borrows the rest, then transfers that debt onto the company they just bought. KKR, Bain, and Vornado put in $1.3 billion. They borrowed $5.3 billion. Then that debt became Toys R Us's problem, not theirs. Section 1, Paragraph 1 of the advisory agreement. The company will pay the advisors a fee in the aggregate amount of $75 million for services rendered in connection with debt financing, paid on the effective date, by wire transfer before a single store was improved. Total extracted by KKR, Bain, and Vornado between 2005 and 2018, $128 million in transaction fees. $185 million in advisory fees, $143 million in interest, total over $456 million, while the stores deteriorated, while the website went unbuilt. Every dollar that should have built the website went to the interest payment. Every dollar that should have renovated the stores went to the advisory fee. Former executives testified in post-bankruptcy proceedings that Toys R Us had the operational revenue to compete, but never the capital. September 18, 2017. Chapter 11. The debt from the 2005 LBO, the primary cause. KKR and Bain created a $20 million fund for 33,000 workers. That is $600 per person. When someone else's debt becomes your company's problem, you lose before you begin. KKR, Bain, and Vornado did not take on $5.3 billion of risk. Toys R Us did. The buyers took the upside. The employees carried the debt. Insight 1. The debt transfer mechanism. When someone else's debt becomes your company's problem, you lose before you begin. The advisory agreement paid $75 million on day one, before a single operational decision was made. The advisors were paid for completing the deal, not for the outcome. Their financial incentive ended on the day the document was signed. The company's problems began. Insight 2. The fee before the work. The advisory agreement tells you more about an acquisition than the press release ever will. They were paid for completing the deal, not for the outcome of the deal. In a bankruptcy, the order of recovery is determined by financial architecture, not by moral weight. Secured creditors first, equity holders second, employees last. Anne-Marie Reinhardt, 29 years, received nothing. The document on July 21, 2005 determined who would bear the cost of failure, 12 years before the failure arrived. Insight 3. The Q. Financial architecture determines who bears the cost of failure. The verdict. Toys R Us was not killed by Amazon. It was killed by a financial structure that extracted $456 million, starved it of capital, and left 33,000 workers with nothing. The mechanism was legal, and it happened to a company that sold children's toys. Subscribe, because the next document we cover is from a company most people assume is thriving right now, and the numbers tell a different story.